I think it's so amazing that human beings overreact to a word. You know,
Right.
a word that someone else says or use when it has nothing to do with that individual at all is only with the person that said it. But yet people tend to somehow or another make themselves a part of the word. You were not talking about anyone in specific. You didn't say JoJo is that blah blah blah, but they reacted as though you said their names. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I feel like victimhood is almost a currency in today's age. Like, the biggest victim gets the most attention and whatever. You want to
Yeah.
be a victim. And that's incentivized and encouraged in this sort of current climate right now. And there's not a lot of actual victimhood. Like, let's be real. Nobody's getting
Yeah.
lynched. Nobody's getting beat up. There's not a lot of real racial attacks. There's a lot of fake ones, like the
Yes.
Jussie Smollett issue. But people still have that desire to be a victim. So I think when they see something like this, it's a snowball effect where if they didn't have that attitude, they wouldn't think anything of it. But they have to play the victim. They have to get on board, and now they're with a team, and now they're all crying about it. So I feel like that's what it actually is. I don't think these people are actually offended by that. And if they are, they're super weak.
I totally agree.
What is going on, guys? I wanted to come back to you, and I wanted to bring you a video featuring a woman named Lilly Gaddis. And Miss Gaddis, I'm going to share with you an interview, a part of an interview that she did with Jesse Lee Peterson. And again, they're talking about the hatred of white folks. Again, especially the white man. Black people, they're being taught to hate the white man. They're being taught anger is good, hate the white man. And again, white people, they're buying into it. Not all, but some, they're buying into it. They're thinking, oh my God, I gotta feel bad. I got to feel bad because I'm white. And they don't realize what they're doing to this country. And black folks, not all, but a lot, they don't realize what they're doing to this country. And again, when they finally destroy things with their anger, with their hate, they are going to look up, they're going to, oh my God, what have I done? And they're going to blame somebody else for it again. So again, white people need to stand up and take back their country. And again, I fully agree with that. And that's what Jesse and Lily are talking about. And again, they're right. They're 100% right. But again, check out her channel. Again, a pretty big channel. She's doing great. And I think what she has to say is worth listening to. But guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
White people are under attack today, like I've never seen before, and especially white Christian men.
Right.
And I've noticed that white people are blamed for everything, all the losers, they blame white people for it. They call it racism, all that mess, which is not true. How do you feel about white people being under attack? To the point, whites are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to disagree. They're afraid of anything. What do you think about white people being attacked, and what should white people do to change that?
Right. Well, I mean, there's my opinion that could get you banned, so I'm going to leave that there.
Right.
I won't even touch that. I know what's actually going on, but yes, white men especially, are under attack because it's white men who cause revolutions. It's white men who can take back their country. It's white men who defend the country. So obviously you attack them. They've managed to make women undesirable to be wives. So now you don't have women encouraging their husbands. I was actually talking to a South African farmer, and they're under massive attack in South Africa. And he had said, we had gone off the stream, and he had said, women need to be the encouragers. He was like, women play a massive role in this fight for freedom. If you can just stand behind your man and encourage them, because when you're fighting out against the world, you need your home to be peaceful and your wife to be encouraging you, right? But men don't really have that going on for them. And then you have the forces at B, the forces that are controlling our government, controlling our politicians, etc. You have them with a plan to get to demoralize the white man. And I believe this has been a subversion that's been going on, for decades, possibly maybe since World War I, possibly earlier. It's just whenever these people took control and they have a particular gripe against white men, because again, you take out the men, you can take over the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was growing up, and I grew up under Jim Crow law down in Alabama, on a plantation, all that good stuff, white people didn't have fear. And in those days, we were taught to treat each other the way we would like to be treated. It has nothing to do with color or anything. There were bad people and decent people. And we did that. But now white people have fear. Where does fear come from? Because God said he doesn't give us a spirit of fear. Where does fear come from?
Well, I mean, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but at the same time, when you can have your life ruined because you step out of line, you offend somebody on accident, especially as a white male, I feel like I've gotten away with it a little bit easier just because I'm a female. But if I was a white man that had done this, it would have probably gone even worse for me, to be honest. So I feel like there's fear because there's actual repercussions. People say cancel culture is dead. Sure. Try and throw out a slur and see how well that goes for you.
Right.
See how dead cancel culture actually is, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's a legitimate fear of being attacked by people. I think there's a legitimate fear of being called a racist, being called this, that, and the other. All these labels they want to assign people to dissuade them from speaking out. Again, this is even years in the making. We're just at the end of the line here, where years of demoralization, years of subversion has caused this fear within people. And it's a legitimate fear. It's a fear of losing your home. If you lose your job, you can't pay your mortgage. Your wife will leave you, etc. So I think that's what the fear is from the very real repercussions of speaking out, of being proud of your race. I mean, you can't say I'm proud to be white. You can say I'm proud to be every other race under the sun, but you can't say that. So, and why can't we say that exactly? Well, it's because you will have your life destroyed. You will be debanked. You will be put on a no-fly list, especially if you talk about certain demographics. But, it is what it is. And I think the fear comes from a legitimate place. But at the end of the day, we need to not be fearful, because instilling that fear is how they've conquered us, and if we can overcome that and get back to our Christian roots and be like, we're the lion, we're following the Lion of Judah. Like, what are we afraid of?
Again, guys, that's absurd. It really is. This whole idea of white privilege. Again, you get into colleges, you can get jobs with less experience because of programs. You get into college scoring less on your SATs because you're black. So again, and I understand to a degree that does affect white women. Again, because there's a certain level of victimhood with being a white woman in today's world. But we have got to understand that stuff is not real. The only victim right now in this country is, again, and I agree with Jesse Lee on this, it's white men. Again, white men are hated. They are the most hated demographic in this country. They founded and built the country, but they are the most hated group in this country. And again, we truly have got to understand that if you're out there blaming some other group in a free and open country, and you're blaming some other group for you not making it in this country, you are the problem. You are your own problem. Your problem starts within you and ends within you. And people have got to understand that instead of pointing their finger at somebody else in an open and free country, they're pointing their finger at somebody else and blaming somebody else for their problems. Again, that's doing nothing but causing division within a country And again, we're going to wind up losing this country. And when we do, everyone is going to suffer.
This country was founded and created by white men. It was God gave them the ability, because they believed in God, to create the greatest country on this side of heaven. And they had to endure things that I can't even imagine having to deal with. But yet, and white people own the country. They made a mistake by inviting other people into the country. And in this country, all the races are accusing white people, just as one group, of being their problem. And it's mind-blowing for me to see that. They blame nobody else but the white man. And no one says, no, that's not true. That's not right. It's not true. No one says anything about it. And it's not going to get better if somebody don't start speaking up about it.
Right. And that's why I encourage, conservatives and right wingers and people who are Republican, they're very concerned with optics and how things look. But at the same time, you have to have firebrands out there. You have to have people who are saying offensive things. You have to have people out there, saying, I'm proud to be white, even though it might be a little bit impolite. You have to have those firebrands to get conversations going. So I think we need to encourage all sorts of voices. And stop fed jacketing people. Like, you'll see people go to rallies and they're like, oh, they're all feds, or oh, they're all this and that, and it just hurts the movement in general. Yeah. But yeah, white men are definitely under attack, and they founded this country. And, the biggest mistake was letting in subversive elements to come in. And then those subversive elements encouraged the clergy plan. They encouraged mass migration. They promoted this idea of we're the melting pot, which that's not the case, but they've created that in our mind to make us feel guilty if we expect this to be our country. They've instilled this guilt in us so that we cannot dare to stand up and even think it's our country, because, well, you've been told your whole life this is a melting pot. We're supposed to be the world's nanny and take everyone in.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Let's get this straight. White men built the country. White men founded and built the greatest nation in the world, America. They built the USA. Again, we have got to understand that. And if you don't understand that, then you're jealous. You're upset. You're mad. You're big mad because, again, you want to somehow grasp that as your own. Take that as your own. And again, it's not your own. And we have to remember, again, I can say, well, as a white man, that makes me proud. It does, in a way. It does make me proud. But also remember, man, it wasn't me. It wasn't me directly that built this country. Again, I wasn't alive. And none of us were. But we have to remember the men that founded and built this country, they did so with a purpose, with their reason. And again, we understand that not everything was right. Not everything was just. Not everything was fair. Thinking about things in today's world, in today's light. Again, there was slavery around the world at one time. But this country and Britain did away with slavery. We lost a lot of our Navy, again, because of patrolling the oceans to stop slavery. And then we got rid of it in this country and we freed the slaves. Again, that should make everyone proud. Not upset, but proud. We did away with slavery. And again, the Democratic Party, they had Jim Crow in the South. And again, we did away with that too. People should be proud of what has happened and how far we have come as a country, as a nation. But no, people want to be upset. They want to have something to gripe about. They want to have somebody to blame for their problems in the country now, instead of looking at themselves as a reason for their own individual problems. And if we don't come together, if we don't become proud to be American, then we're going to lose this country. And a whole lot of people are going to suffer a whole lot worse than what they are now.
It's horrible in the way that the people of color are destroying white history. The people who made the country great, they're destroying, especially after that attack upon America by Black Lives Matter, who are worse than the KKK or anyone else should ever be, right? They're destroying statues and monuments and books and everything that remind us of who made the country so great and why. And so I want to remind the people in the month of July and always that white people made the country. These people who are destroying it, they haven't created or made a country good anywhere in the world. They're all trying to come here because we're a Christian nation founded by white people, and yet we're allowing them to come in and destroy. It's like inviting someone into your home, your family member or friend, come and stay for a minute, and they destroy your household. They take over and destroy. I just don't think we need to sit back and just do nothing about it. So that's why I started White History Month.
Well, good for you, a true warrior. But no, that's true. And I think you had said earlier how you've noticed this attack on white men is really ramped up recently.
Yeah.
I think it's because, like what you were saying, white men are finally waking up. Like they've taken it. The white men are like the lion, and they've allowed these jackals to nip at their heels for years and years, and they've just kind of taken it. Meanwhile, they're the lion. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If they rose up, these invaders wouldn't stand a chance. You know, and they've been nipping at us and poking the bear this whole time. But the day of that is coming to an end. I can feel that. There's a strong nationalist movement rising up. That's the strongest sentiment that I'm aware of right now amongst young people, young white males, because they're sick of being persecuted. They're sick of being told that they suck. They're sick of having their rights stripped away. They're sick of watching, their Confederate monuments taken down. I mean, my mom, when she was young and in high school, all the southern states on their flags, they had the stars and bars there. Well, that was taken away. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, that's part of our heritage and our history. So people are getting fed up with that. And as people start to wake up, as white men in particular start to take on this nationalist, viewpoint where they're like, wait a minute, this is my country and you're abusing me in my home. So why is this? You're going to see the attacks rise up, and you're going to see it get intensify and get worse because they got to try to quell this rebellion.
That's why I encourage white people to drop their anger, because when you don't have anger, you can see clearly how to do the right thing at the right time, and in that you cannot fail. So I encourage all people to drop their anger, but especially white American. I tremble at the idea. I read some report, and I reported on my radio show, that at some point, white people will become the minority in America because they're not having babies anymore. They are not producing the way they should, and that white people are going to become the minority. I tremble at that idea because the people of color have not done anything to make America great. They have not added to the country to make it better. I can see it if they were making the country better for all, but that's not happening. And I tremble at the idea that white people would not be leading the country at some point.
Again, I agree. I tremble at the idea that this will become a majority brown country or black country. And again, I don't think it's become a majority black country, because there's far too many black abortions for that to happen, which I think is a shame that, again, there's all these black abortions. But this will become a majority brown country. And it will become a majority immigrant country, third world immigrant country. Again, we have to realize, man, that we are becoming more and more socialist, more and more communist. And again, that's not going to work. Again, we're pushing DEI programs, diversity, equity, inclusion. And again, we have to understand, if we have equity, we don't have equality. It's not equal. Equity is not equal. That's propping certain people up, again, so their outcomes are better. And we don't do that. That is not what an equal country does. And again, white men, white conservative men, they've got to stand up for that. They got to stand up and say, look, that is not right. Again, if you want to go and you want to do something, do it. Become better. Try. And again, that's what the problem is in this country. People are not trying. All they're doing is pointing their finger at somebody else, saying, well, I wouldn't make it if it wasn't for that white man over there. If it wasn't for these white folks, I would make it in this country. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't make it. Again, right now, those types of people are destroying the country. Destroying it. Again, if you want to become great at something, you become great at something. And do it. But I mean, again, we're not going to prop certain people up, or we shouldn't. Prop certain people up to do something they're no good at doing. Again, if you want to do something and you want to make yourself great at doing it, then do so. And you'll get the job. You'll get into that college. If you apply yourself, if you do what needs to be done. But if you're not going to do that, you should sit right where you are right now. And again, that goes for anyone of any color. But again, we used to understand that in this country because that is what the country was founded upon. And that is equal. That is equality, not equity. So again, we have truly got to get that. So white men, white conservative men, and conservative men of any color, but especially white conservative Christian men, stand up. Take back the country. Again, everyone needs this. Whether people know it or not, that's what they want. That's what they need. Because these people that are leading the charge for DEI, for affirmative action, for blaming the white man for whatever, they will be the first to fall. And again, they will be yelling and screaming and everything else. They have no idea what in the hell they're doing. So again, white men, white conservative Christian men, stand up. But hey, if you guys would, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share. Thanks.